From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Mark Carney's first trip to Europe as Prime Minister has wrapped up. He visited the leaders of France and the UK to discuss security and Ukraine. Carney says he's not trying to rally other countries into a trade war with the United States.
We take our own decisions with respect to our bilateral trade relationships with the United States. We're not trying to organize a coordinated retaliation. Other countries will take those decisions.
Carney met with French President Emmanuel Macron, signing a bilateral partnership on intelligence and security. He also had an audience with King Charles and stopped by 10 Downing Street to see UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Searchers combing a Winnipeg area landfill have now found remains of both murder victims they were seeking. Manitoba RCMP say a second set of remains found in the landfill have now been identified as Mercedes Myron. She and Morgan Harris were murdered by a convicted serial killer in 2022. The government confirmed earlier this month Harris's remains had also been found in the landfill. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is pledging to go further than Prime Minister Mark Carney on federal carbon pricing. Carney began the process to end the consumer carbon price on things like gasoline, but Poilievre says a Conservative government would eliminate the industrial charge on large polluters. Liberals warn that could result in more tariffs. The European Union plans to start charging importers a tariff next year on goods like steel if they come from a place with no carbon price. A full liquidation at Canada's oldest company is imminent, but Hudson's Bay is still holding out hope it can find a lifeline.
Lawyers for the retailer told an Ontario court that if approved by a judge, the liquidation would span all of its 80 stores, as well as some Saks Fifth Avenue and Saks Off Fifth locations. Hudson's Bay is proposing a number of options, including finding buyers for its properties or intellectual property, like its branding or the trademark for its famed stripes. The company will stop accepting gift cards after April 6th, and it's already paused its loyalty program, which had nearly $60 million in unused points, leaving the program's roughly 8 million shoppers out of luck. Michelle Zedekian, The Canadian Press.
Canada Post will feature former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney on a stamp. The Crown Corporation calls Mulroney one of the country's most consequential prime ministers. Mulroney was Prime Minister from 1984 to 1993. Celebrations of Irish heritage today marked St. Patrick's Day. One of the biggest parades in the United States happened this morning in Savannah, Georgia. The largest is in New York City. And in Dublin, hundreds of thousands of people packed the streets to watch Ireland's national St. Patrick's Day parade. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Calgary Flames look to move back into a playoff spot when they visit the Toronto Maple Leafs in NHL action tonight. Calgary enters the game 2 points behind idle Vancouver for the second Western Conference wildcard spot, with 2 games in hand. Right-hander Jose Barrios will be first on the mound when the Toronto Blue Jays open their 2025 season next week. The Jays host the Baltimore Orioles next Thursday. Today in spring training action, Toronto beat the New York Yankees 6-5. To the NBA now, and the Toronto Raptors continue a 4-game Western road trip when they visit the Phoenix Suns tonight. Both teams enter the game sitting in 11th place, just out of a postseason play-in spot in their respective conferences. And soccer star Lionel Messi will miss Argentina's upcoming World Cup qualifying matches against Uruguay and Brazil. Argentine media reports Messi suffered a sore left thigh during Inter Miami's victory over Atlanta United yesterday. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.